This is part 2 of my series on building a table for an old Miller's Falls portable bandsaw. If you missed part 1, don't forget to watch that one first to get all caught up. I left off after finishing the edge angles around the perimeter of the table. As the tabletop is only 3/16 inches thick and the miter slot is 3/8 of an inch, I need to trim an additional 3/16 from these angles. I use layout fluid and a pair of dividers to mark the cuts. These would be a bit tricky to cut accurately the way I have them marked, but using a scrap piece of 1-inch square tube to support the angles makes it easier. I tried to think of a good, accurate way to cut the ends of these, but finally just opted to use a vice grips and snap them off instead. If I had a milling machine, it'd be a different story, but I don't. The last pieces of angle to cut are the brackets that will connect the table to the saw. The idea here with these is that I'll be cutting out a wedge from one of the legs and then cold bending it over to form a 90-degree bracket. I'll later weld the seam to keep it from coming apart. With the brackets temporarily mounted, I mark the holes that will attach them to the tabletop, drill, and countersink. And then the matching holes on the brackets. You can see now how the brackets fit around this part of the saw to clamp the table into place. The last bit to cut will be some feet for the legs. I'm adding some mounting holes to these as well in case my dad gets the idea to attach it to a workbench. Now time to attach the legs to the edge angles on the table. Laying out and squaring these was made a lot easier using these minion squares from Fireball Tool. With the legs welded on, I added the feet. To provide a spot for the on-off switch, I'm also adding this piece of bar to one side. These bars I cut earlier will be the bottom of the miter slot, so I use my miter gauge as a spacer. After welding and cleaning everything up with a degreaser, I primed and painted everything in a couple coats of matte black hammer tone. Giving the paint a few days to cure, the last step is to mount the table to the saw. With the saw clamped to my workbench, I adjusted the table until it was square to the saw blade. There's probably a better way to do this, but I decided to drill the mounting holes with everything connected together to give it the best chance of being square afterwards. Off camera, I painted the angle brackets before reassembling everything. To make sure that these bolts don't loosen, I'm adding a jam nut. Those who have been watching me for a while will recognize this switch box, which I go over building in another video. All that's left to do now is test it out. I'm very happy with how this turned out, especially considering that I got this saw for next to nothing and salvaged a tool that's older than I am. It was a fun project, and I'm sure my dad is going to get a lot of use out of this in the coming years. Thanks for following along with this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.